Hello. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to be here today with two lovely people that are dear to my heart in the online world. Anyway, let's get straight into it. Excellent. We teach Evergreen stuff. Evergreen content, actions, relationship building. Hillary and I are here. We collaborate on business development, TV, TT, broadcast. Every Thursday, we bring these live broadcasts to you at 10:30. We'll get better on the seconds timing, okay? But 10:30. We want you to build evergreen digital marketing campaigns and sales funnels. Simply put, funnels attract and filter your audience. Sales is the result. Digital marketing campaigns reduce your cost of client acquisition while increasing the number of leads and sales each month and eventually every day. Curiosity could be in your story. It could be in a post where you highlight an insight or frustration of your customer. Mm-hmm. Here's an example, a brief story. Now, I don't know if any of you guys know, but I used to homeschool my kids, and I don't know who really learned more, them or me, but I learned a lot anyway. So in the California gold rush, there were 3 types of people. Actually, there are 4, but 3 types of people benefited. We're not concerned about the 4th type. The first type of people sold products and services. They realized a whole bunch of people are going to California. They're going to need me. So therefore, they went with their products and skills to the California gold rush, and they benefited. Mm. The second group of people were the ones who mined for the gold. They spent hours, days, months out in the minefields digging for gold. We knew they benefited, right? Well, 20/80 rule. Smart people, the smart ones, did smart activities who made money with just the right amount of effort and the right actions. That's what digital marketing campaigns with curiosity on your social media, driving them back to your website. That is what we're talking about today. So why does Hillary and I do what we do? We want to work with smart business owners, not because the work is easy, because it's not. Not because the money comes easy, because it doesn't. But because when you, the smart business owner, is smart about wanting and seeing the value of evergreen content, you position yourself in the marketplace. When you align with what we are saying, then what you want, the achievements, your results happen faster. Today with our lovely guest, Chef Katrina. Katrina, with all the lovely and the best ingredients to put into your social media, we will be discussing how to scale your website traffic using curiosity in social media. Take it away, Hillary.
And many of you have probably seen her lovely face before. But she's actually a chef. That's one of the first questions people always ask her. Are you really a chef? She is a former Disney chef, all right? So sorry, she's not there anymore, so she can't whip up those lovely dishes for you. But now she's a small business mentor, and that's why we have her on with us today. She's mentored several entrepreneurs, network marketers, small business owners, helping them build their personal brand and online marketing strategies, okay? Today, she is known for her expertise in Pinterest marketing. All right. So you are going to hear a lot about how to use, well, I know Pinterest is your baby, right? But social media, getting your traffic and getting your website traffic. And one of the best ways to do that is with Pinterest. Pinterest. Okay, we said it like 3 times. Okay.
No, one of these things that people don't understand about Pinterest is unlike Facebook and unlike LinkedIn, when Pinterest set their strategy has not changed.
Hmm.
And their strategy is for the success of the people who love their social platform.
Yeah.
So, Miss Pinterest, could you elaborate?
Yeah. So yeah, we walked right into that Pinterest one, aren't we? So yeah, what I really love about Pinterest, honestly, over the years, it has evolved. It has evolved in the terms of its own platform. I remember, and I think even maybe Hillary, you were around the time when I got started, but you had to put in an email. Like there was a Facebook group. Now, if I was an email marketer and I knew what the heck I was doing back then, this would have been like the best place to scalp emails in like a heartbeat, right? But there was this group, and you could go in there and you're like, oh my God, can somebody add me? And you just dropped your email address in. I mean, and there were hundreds, if not, there were thousands of women and people that were just going to this group requesting to get invited into Pinterest. Like it was like a huge demand, right? And so I remember putting it, I was like, I don't think I put my email address in. I was a request. I found somebody, I was like, can you just add me to Pinterest, kind of a thing? And so what's been interesting around Pinterest is when I had the opportunity to listen in to Evan Spark, who's the co-founder of Pinterest. He said something that was really interesting. He goes, I built Pinterest for me because I wanted to have a place where I could, bring all my ideas together, right? There wasn't anything on the internet where you could, you could bookmark, but how many bookmarks do you have on your browser? Seriously.
And you can't find them.
I can't find them. I can't find what I was looking for, and a lot of times I remember things by the image or the logo, and that doesn't show up in the bookmark. And so one of the things he said is like, I built this so that I could have a place to save all that, but catch it visually, right? So if I had things I was looking for my business or for finance or whatever, I could create those boards and then I could save that to these boards. And I was like, that's brilliant, right? Like this is a place for you to save your ideas, curate them together is what the word they use. So that's always been the strategy. It's always been the visual, because 90% of what we see is visual. 90% of the information we take in is visual, right? So we see everything visually. We remember things visually. How many times have you walked into a room, you've seen someone's face and you're like, don't remember their name, right?
And you go, hi, how are you?
How are you? Please tell me your name again. Right? Because visually we remember things, right? But if you ask us for a name, I do the same thing with driving. If I drive the route, I remember certain checkpoints to get back to a location. But if I'm a passenger, I'm right? So there's something about the visual world that really makes sense. And what's interesting is that the beginning of this year, officially, Pinterest became the third largest search platform. Behind Google and YouTube, Pinterest is now the third largest search platform. People are flocking to Pinterest to find things that are for their business, right? So when you talk about that, they've actually done really good because their pin images have always been the narrow and long, right? So think about like if you took a picture on your phone, it's narrow and long,
phone. Yeah,
right? So they've always done that phone length, and they've been consistent with it. They're not changing, even though they've had marketers begging and saying, hey, can you just conform to what everybody else is doing? Pinterest says, no, not our platform, right? This is our platform. No. Like, we're not going to just fall into it. But it actually makes sense because if you look at billboards, if you look at marketing, most of the times we like the long vertical. It actually draws our eye from like the middle, the top and bottom. It actually is more appealing to see that type of image than just a square. So it's been really interesting to see how they've stayed consistent with the pin size in terms of like the length for it. And that anything you put on Pinterest, because it should have, and I teach my students now, it's like Pinterest is intentional. If you're going to put a pin on Pinterest, have it go to something. This isn't like Instagram where you're just throwing up pictures. This isn't Facebook where you're just putting up a quote for the day. Like you can't just be that blasé. I can use a big word. You can't just be blasé, right? Like, I'm just going to put this up. Because sometimes it's lazy marketing.
Yeah.
And lazy marketing is easy to do. I do it because it makes sense. But when you, like, Bernie, we're talking about how do you create that evergreen funnel, right? It does start with one of the things Pinterest loves is you have to verify your website. They give priority to content and pins that are shared from an actual verified website. I love it. On the Pinterest platform. Yeah, we have kids screaming in the back. This is normal. I don't understand. This is like the new norm. Don't even worry about it. Right? You're gonna hear dogs barking, kids crying. Mom!
I'll be right back.
Yeah. You go.
So, but yeah, this has been something that's been really interesting to watch, is how Pinterest has really evolved into this and stayed their course. And a lot of the times people are like, well, Pinterest isn't working. I remember reading from top digital marketers actually saying, well, we tried it, didn't work.
Yeah. Good. It's a matter of serving the person and waiting for your pins, people to discover your pins, people for you to find your relevancy within the group that you're trying to serve. Now that brings us to that word I used in our title, curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there anything in my story? I mean, I shouldn't be asking you because you know the answer, right? Because you're a smart digital marketer. That's why you moved to Pinterest. Now, first question, who's the fourth group of people who went to California? Because you have the three people who benefit and the fourth person who didn't. Fourth group that didn't.
They went there with a dream.
Yeah, exactly, and didn't get into action.
No, they just went there with a dream. Like, they're like, if I walk in, that's gonna just fall in my lap.
Yeah. And now that was in a story that I read. The third group, the smart people, they were the ones who, think about it. The miners are out in the field for months. So what's going to happen to their hair?
Well, they're going to make money. Was that what's happening to their head or what's happening to their pocket?
Hair.
Oh, inside of there?
No, the miners. The miners are busy mining.
Right.
So the hair is going to go crazy. It's going to get long.
Oh, it's
going to keep growing. 2-3 months of them not facing out, right?
Right.
So what happened is that this butler and this little boy in the story, they just arrived in California, and the butler looks at his care, the person that he's supposed to take care of, and he says, "You need a trim." So he sits him on a chair and he cuts his hair. And they have no money. They have like $1 because they just spent all their money traveling to California, right? Because they came with a dream. They had no idea what they were going to do, but they came with a dream.
Yep.
But they were smart. So the person sees them cutting their hair, and he is about to be married the following day. So he goes up to the butler and says, "Can you cut my hair?" They're like, sure, no problem. Have a seat. So while he's sitting, he's telling them their story that they just travel and they have no money and tra-la-la-la-la. And he's like, "I'll give you a secret. Okay, listen up. And you can make lots of money doing this." He says, "Collect all my hair." And the little boy says, "Okay, no problem. Collect the hair." And then he says, "Okay, put in a bucket of water and shake it up good." What do you think he got at the bottom of the bucket?
Gold.
Exactly.
Because he was a miner and needed a haircut, but inside the mine, the gold would have landed in his hair. So when they cut the gold, they basically saved the hair shavings, and the gold would be at the bottom of the container.
Smart people doing just the right activity, right? To make money.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes opportunities, you stumble upon them.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just need to position yourself in the right place to get to what you want to get to. And that's why I'm saying Hillary and I are positioning ourselves to be in front of smart people, because I am tired of arguing with people. This is not what you should be doing. This is not what you should be doing. This is what you should be doing. So you know what? I'm not going to argue anymore.
Okay, so that was the end of a rant.
No, but, but it's interesting, right? You guys, we know, right? For those of us watching, I mean, we've been doing this for probably like 6 to 8 years now in some form or fashion, right? 8 years inside of that, there's been a lot of changes to the market. I mean, Pinterest has changed, Facebook has changed, Twitter. I mean, Periscope came out in this 8 years. Facebook Live. This is all new technology. This is all new technology, right? That we have this ability to be able to live stream like this. And what's interesting is that there's a lot of tools out there, but what are you doing with these tools?
Exactly.
What are you doing with this content? How are you continuing to repurpose it beyond just this live? How are we engaging with the audience? I had the privilege of being involved in the Stimulus Summit. So it's incredible because the amount of speakers that took that virtual stage that I'm now in a picture with, right? It's just crazy.
Yeah.
But there was a lady that got in and she was like, oh my gosh, I still remember. So she was one of the first people that used Google Hangouts. Does everyone remember Google Hangouts way back in the day?
Yes. We set up webinars using Google Hangouts.
And you can still do that apparently, right? So, but you can. So Google Plus was like a big thing, and Google Hangouts was a huge part of the Google Plus platform. So I wish I could pronounce her name, but she was amazing. She said, the only thing I ever did was I used Google Hangouts to create interaction. I would basically schedule a Google Hangout. So this kind of goes back to our webinar thing we talked about. I would schedule a Google Hangout, and then I would paste that on my website, and I would drive people to my website, not to my YouTube channel or the Google Hangout, but to the website itself, so I could create that engagement so that I could continue to boost my traffic and I had longevity on my website. And I was like, yeah, I remember doing that, right? I remember that's always been the strategy. And she was talking about it, and she said the same thing I did. Why are you spending time on rented property?
Yes.
Why are you spending so much time on rented property? Because if something happens and your account gets closed, you don't own any of that, right? So when you talk about evergreen, you have to look at what are the evergreen elements of online marketing, right? It's the ability to have your own website. Number one, hands down, I don't care. You need to have your own website. If you don't, people actually look at for credibility. Oh, you have a website. I can find you on beyond just the internet, beyond social media.
Facebook,
There's a lot of people that don't want to be on Facebook. They don't want to be on social media. They don't want that kind of tracking in their life, right? So you're like, well, what are my longevity tools? Your own website, controlling your email address, building an audience where you can connect with them, right? Because Facebook and all these social platforms, they're fickle on how they deliver your content to people. Most of us know that. Yeah, that's like the algorithm of doom, I guess you could say, right? Before, when you had a Facebook page in the beginning, everybody was on there. You could do traffic, right? And then it was like, no, you have to pay to play. And then all of a sudden, traffic went, right? You're like,
you can't see it.
The question is, when you talk evergreen traffic, does it make sense to have evergreen on Facebook? Or would you rather be driving traffic back to your website where they can opt into your offers? They can learn more about you. They can read other content. You can link them back to affiliate products without having to worry about, oh my gosh, I can't do this ad because it's got affiliate stuff in it. Well, you can just claim that on your website.
Yeah.
Right? You have full control to let people know. And once they get to know you and read your content, you're building that relationship. So when you talk about what can Pinterest do for you and your business in terms of evergreen, it's when you create that content, create a pin, create a cover image, just like you do for your blog, right? You always have a featured image or something. Just take that featured image, convert it into a pin. Most of us do that all the time. We're using things like Canva or Trello or Easel or, Photoshop or whatever your fancy is for creating graphics. And most of the time you have the ability to convert it into a pin design. Right?
Yeah.
So take that pin, put it up on Pinterest, and link it back to your content. Now, what everybody confuses is that Pinterest isn't social. There's nothing social about Pinterest. Nothing. In reality, there's a little bit, but the whole purpose that Pinterest wants you to do, what Facebook doesn't want you to do, which Google doesn't want you to do, or YouTube doesn't want you to do, is leave their platform. But Pinterest actually wants you to leave the platform and go and buy and shop from other people.
Yeah, because they want the success of the
And
people on there.
when I have when I have a project, I mean, I spend like an hour, 2 hours on Pinterest.
Yeah, you're doing great search.
Yeah.
So the thing is, so do you need as so like because we're talking curiosity here, and sometimes, and this was something that back in the day I used to stumble over this, right? In terms of, okay, if I'm building curiosity, am I tricking the person? So the type of things that I'm putting out there, I'm trying to pique their interest to want to leave the website, to want to leave Facebook, or to want to leave Instagram, right? How much of that do you really need? All of that sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Manipulation. Manipulation on Pinterest then.
You know what? That's a great question. And the reality is Pinterest people are I think, and to quote Bernie, smart. And the reason I say this is because if you're on the Pinterest platform, you know that when you click on a pin, you want to be taken where that content's taking you. Right. So if you create a pin that says how to learn how to do Pinterest or how to set up your Pinterest business account, when you click on that pin, your expectation is that the content you're taken to teaches you that.
Yes.
Right. If there's a clothing item that I'm looking at, I don't need to be curiously engaged with the clothing item. I'm already curious because of the clothing item. I want to click on and be taken to that product to look at, to buy, to see if I want to make a decision. Right. So curiosity is good, but really with Pinterest, it's more of a direct approach. This is direct advertising. This is something that's become a lost art because so many people have had to turn to curiosity posts on Facebook or alternative ways to capture people's attention. I love it best that somebody said, with Pinterest, you don't have to interrupt. You get to inspire.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because we're taught as marketers for a long time, especially in newspapers and ads and all that, that it's interruption marketing. It's actually interrupting people's lives and putting your product in front of them and saying, hey, here's me, right? And Pinterest says, no, this is where we inspire people. We let people discover things that are important to them. And we're going to do it through the keyword search. So you have to start looking at, how is your audience searching? Is your product in front of an audience that's searching for you, that hasn't discovered you yet, right? If you have a product that's, for, authors, I'm going to pick on authors real quick. They're avid readers. There are book clubs. There are book boards all over Pinterest. As an author, right? If you want your book to be seen in front of more people, then you can run a promoted pin targeting the readers. Who's buying, inspirational books? Who's buying business books? Who's buying, sci-fi books? Because we're actually bringing them together under one board. Maybe it's something we want to read. So authors are always like, well, should I be putting my stuff up on Pinterest? Well, yes, because now you can be targeting your book to get in front of your right audience, right? Something you can't really do anywhere else, because Pinterest pinners are pinning because it's personal to them. It's inspirational to them. These are things that they want in their lives, or things that they enjoy collecting, or they love being part of these groups and tribes that share common things. Like I have a bacon board, and people love sharing their bacon recipes and bacon fun stuff, right? So the idea is this is a community that just likes to talk about bacon. Right? But if there's a recipe in there that they want, or a product that they're looking at, or some sort of funny meme or t-shirt, it gives them a place to go to collect that and either save it themselves or use that as a group board to share those ideas with. Right?
Well, give me an insight then. How do you use your bacon board together with your business board?
So that's my curiosity, right? So that's like-minded people. You don't know. Trust me, the world is full of people that love bacon, and gosh, only knows one of them is probably an online marketer. Right?
Look one right there. Wrong side.
One's going to be curious about what we're doing, right? So I use that board as a way to connect with like-minded people around that one, having them also look at, because I do the same thing. I'll go and I'll look at their boards, or I'll look at their other pins, or I'll look to follow them. So it gives me a way to continue engaging and interacting with people. Right.
So and is that the social aspect of Pinterest then, where that's the human aspect? You're connecting with the non-business related interests.
Yeah. Well, what I love about Pinterest too, from a small business perspective, right, is that we have many hats that we wear, right? So with what we do, right, we could have a board that just talks specifically about a social media. You could break that down into Twitter and Pinterest and all, all these different boards, right? You could get really zoned in for the content you're creating. You can talk about blogging. You could talk about affiliate marketing. You could have pins that lead to how to build a business on a budget, right? And you can have blog posts that just talk about budgeting, and then you could have boards that just talk about, email marketing or the tools you're using. You could have a resource board, right? What are some of the tools that you're using to build your business? How would that benefit other people? So the idea when you look at this is that businesses, if you're smart, you're looking at, who's the type of person looking to attract to me? What types of things would they be interested in? And I might have a one-off called bacon, right? Mm-hmm. Or I might have a one-off called, healthy foods, just because I want to give you a small glimpse of kind of who I am and what's important to me. But I want to focus my pins on providing that value, the education and training, or providing my products and services.
Right. So I have a question, because right now we're talking mainly to an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. But if we have a business, a corporate business, they're behind a facade, right? And a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about this, trying to get CEOs, CMOs to understand that they have to show more of themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Transparency is the new currency. So how does a business or a corporate brand do that similar thing on Pinterest?
So there's a lot of corporate brands on Pinterest. You'll see a lot of department stores. You're seeing a lot of, Apple's on there. You're seeing a lot of these bigger stores on here, and they play into the marketing they already have, right? A lot of the times what they've been doing offline or what they've been doing in their stores, they're just starting to bring that into the world of Pinterest, right? So yes, we talk about, we want transparency from a CEO, but in reality, a lot of times when we talk about those big corporate brands, what we're sold on is their marketing message, right? If you go in there and you're finding Nike, I don't expect to see the CEO of Nike, because that person changes. But the brand itself is about the quality of the clothes, the shoes that they sell, the activities that they're involved in. Maybe they're sponsoring some running events, things like that. Like, that's the kind of things that I want to see. I want to see how they're interacting with their communities, events they're putting on. Even though we talk about evergreen and longevity, knowing that these types of events happen and they can always redirect to different things, gives them an opportunity to really provide a service through visualization of how this company is actually making a difference. And because every pin should have a logo on it, right? Mm-hmm. Like Bernie's got her WSI, that logo should be on every single pin she puts out there, whether it's her doing community service, whether it's her, showing her brand, because then it shows what she's doing out in the world, and she's doing it visually through a platform like Pinterest. Right. Good question.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, you kind of put a wrap inside there one time. It was all into evergreen, all into curiosity, all into driving traffic. That was just like a fantastic wrap without me asking you for a closing statement. Fantastic. I, as Katrina mentioned, somewhere in between all of our lovely content today, she was on a stimulus summit, they called it, with our good friend Domingo Silvas. We all met him. I have pictures, I have videos with him. It's fantastic. I was very excited for you. Could you give us a little insight as to how that went and what did you learn from it? So you have two questions.
So how did it go? First and foremost was I had the privilege of being the third speaker on a Saturday, and I had to follow Sharon Lechter. And I don't know if you know who Sharon Lechter is, but she is actually part of the Rich Dad Poor Dad. She is the CPA that's mentioned in Rich Dad Poor Dad's books, right? So yeah, I was like, dude, I was like, oh my gosh, like I read this book, and like that's the book that really did lead me into the world of entrepreneurship, because I became fascinated with like what could you sell to start making an income, right? Mm-hmm. So it was great. A lot of nuggets dropped, and here's the nugget. I got to share this with you. She said this and I about fell out of my chair. If you guys get a chance, you can still get the recordings of the Stimulus Summit, and they're going to continue to build that library of speakers the whole purpose in there is to give you actionable training so that you can go into this new global economy that we're walking into because of the time period we're in, right? Sharon said something, ladies, you're going to love this. She said, if you want to start making money right now, the easiest thing you do is get involved in affiliate marketing.
I told people that yesterday. And they're like, what's that? I'm like, this is what you do.
And you know what? That was my blog post for this week, or was it last week? What is affiliate
Go grab
marketing?
Sharon Lecter's Facebook timestamp it, because when she said that, I was like, I was like, yes, there's finally somebody else saying this, right? Like, if you really wanted to make an extra $100, $200 this month, get involved in affiliate marketing. Yeah. I mean, I was like, oh, I have mad respect for you now, right? But I was like,
oh no, your respect went from here to here.
I was like, oh my gosh, right? So the experience of being on that virtual stage and being surrounded by speakers like Les Brown, Sharon Lecter, there was just, so many incredible individuals that took the stage, and to watch Domingo interview them, right? And it was a whole interview process. So there was nothing scripted. There was no slide presentations or training going on. The conversations were so dynamic. It was like you felt like you're part of this conversation, like you're part of this community that was giving back. And while I was there to speak Pinterest, what I ended up talking about was how to get started on the world of online marketing. Right? Because I shared with them that one of the things that I did in the very beginning, when I had to do my blog for the 5th time, so the one it is.
You mean as in start from scratch?
Yes. You never heard that story. That's a whole nother 30 minutes.
One of the things I talked about, I said, what's interesting is I recorded myself putting together that content, and I used that to sell a blog course. And I said, what's interesting and what I always remembered and what I still even think today is that the moment I learned something new, the easiest to teach it to somebody, because see, the thing is, you and I all know this, right? People don't stay in this business very long.
Yeah.
So who we mainly talk to are always the newer person, right? The person that's just getting started. So would it make sense to record yourself putting together a course for the first time as a new person, because you're going to be the closest to speaking that language, because you'll never get that language back.
Yeah, because you evolve.
Right, because you're going to master, you're going to do different things. I talk SEO, things I did not have in my language back then.
Right, Hillary?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
You didn't. Hillary, you and you went to my blogging course, but the reason
because what happened is Hillary and I are talking yesterday, and she's talking about
we're talking language.
Something. Hillary's
Not
giving
in my
me
language. I would have never picked up these books.
I go straight to the heart, the frustration, the insight, the behavior of the person. And Hillary is here talking about the solution and the technology and stuff. And it says, Hillary, break it down, Hillary, break it down.
So I'm always reminding myself that the person that's going to get the most benefit out of this is the person that knows the least amount. Right? That's truly who you write courses for. That's truly who you're writing blog courses for. And then as we get more developed, who we're looking for is mentorship groups, groups where we can go in and create influence that we can leverage for, providing our training. Like in reality, the Stimulus Summit is a place that I can leverage my expertise, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get in front of hundreds of thousands of individuals over the time of this course. I have a platform that's giving me exposure. So the more we grow, what we start looking for once we're new, we learn. Yeah. The next thing we look for is exposure agents.
Yes, and network people. You network with your group. Yeah.
Yep. So you're looking for like what communities can you get into? What places can you be interviewed on? What podcasts can you be on? What stages can you take? Because all of that builds your credibility and who you know yourself to be, because people start telling you you're this person, and then you just start growing into that person. Right?
Exactly.
So Hillary knows that too. So the thing around the Stimulus Summit is, it's both education for anybody in there, Go in there, listen to it, take your 15, it's about, some of them are about an hour long, 45 minutes. But what a way to get your mindset, because they drop so many golden nuggets throughout. Every single person has something to share, and you'll start looking and seeing there's a connectivity. All of us have a kind of like a similar underlying conversation that's going on. But the stimulus summit, I mean, incredible. I'm going back and doing another, it looks like I'm doing another mini Pinterest training specifically around Pinterest. So honestly, we are walking into a new global economy.
It is. I call it the COVID era because there's nothing post about COVID. Not going away.
We will be changed. It will be changed. We'll just be changed. So it's a new. It was just like after post 9/11. It's
well, 9/11 kind of, the 9/11 fear kind of went down a little bit when we took care of Bin Laden, and you've seen the other terrorists, but they're not as terrible as but and the security going up. But with this, there is nothing to fight this, and that's the problem. There's nothing to fight.
There's nothing to fight.
You just have to change. You just have to change.
It's the boogeyman in the corner that you're running from, but you can't see him. You don't know he's there. You're in just constant fear. But what's interesting, I was talking about this with a couple of friends. The workforce is going to change, right? I have a lot of people that I've been talking to that says their bosses are now asking them, well, how many days do you want to come into work? They're discovering that you can work remotely. Like, this is not, see, what's interesting is that you talk about single individual events that happen. 9/11 happened, things like this happened, but this was a worldwide. We're talking for the first time in the history of the world, the entire world quarantined their healthy.
Yeah.
Quarantined healthy people.
Yeah.
Healthy people. Right? They didn't quarantine the sick. No, they quarantined the healthy and sent the sick to the hospital.
Yeah.
Figure that one out for me. Right? And inside of this conversation, you're looking at, how are these, if you're not going back to work, what about all the restaurants that rely on that lunch rush, that after hour drinks, right? Look at all the clothing stores that are in those business areas that sell clothing for businesses that no longer have it. There's no financial institutions. Their coffee shops are going to close down because there's nobody going to work. So the impact, there's a dual side, right? There's both the impact that's going to happen by people staying home, and there's going to be an impact economically to the small businesses that are supported by people going to work, right? On a global scale. Global scale.
Comes back to the three groups of people. Right?
Yes.
Comes back to the three groups of people.
You
got to figure out what your niche is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to see an economic shift that we've never seen ever since the industrial age. Like, that's kind of what I'm starting to think about. This is the industrial age was all innovation, creativity, and new things, new ways, new thought processes came out during that time period. And we've never been able to replicate that. This situation is almost like an entire reset for what is possible with our future moving forward.
I see it also as a reset of prices. Yeah. I see it as a reset of prices, like how the real estate market went crazy. Everybody was going after $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 sale. I mean, we gotta get back down to what's enough for me to live on. I don't need to live in a 50-room house, So get back down to the basics. Get back down to what it is you really need to survive on. Let's take the 10 jeans in your closet and take it down to 3 jeans. I don't need 50 dresses anymore because I'm not going out to work, So we just got to get back down to basics. And because we are cutting back on our expenditure, our cost of living, the demand to live the lifestyle, it's going to drop. And then you're reading Forbes article yesterday, people started sharing it, about the cost, not necessarily in terms of price, because that hasn't come out yet, cost of travel. For us to get from here, Trinidad and Tobago to Miami is no longer It used to be 6 hours because it's 2 hours in the, no, not even 6. It's 8 hours after 9/11, 2 hours in our airport, 4 hours in the air, and another 2 hours clearing immigration. Right? That's 8 hours of travel. It's gone from 8 hours now to almost 12 hours. Because you have to screen here before we leave. You have to screen there when we arrive. I'm like, I'm not traveling again.
The cost of travel is going to go up. The impact to the hospitality industry overall, like we have a friend that, was stuck here in the United States for 2 months. Mm-hmm. And the reason she was here was that because getting back home over to Europe, the flights weren't consistent. They were canceling flights because there's nobody on them, mm-hmm. right? So now you're looking at an industry that relies on how many bodies can you get in a plane to be profitable.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. They have not come out with the cost of their new flights, and that is because they don't know how many butts they're gonna get in these seats.
Well, they don't know how many people they can have in there. If these rules stay in place and they become laws, it will truly affect our way to travel indefinitely.
Yeah.
So much good stuff, guys. There's tons of stuff on here, and I know we got a little off topic. But yeah, when you talk about when you're building your business, you're talking about Evergreen, you're talking about curiosity, you're talking about, what's the long-term inside of this. Honestly, this is a great time that if you haven't been doing this, plug in with Hillary and Bernie, because I'll tell you that right now that you want to plug in with them because you want to start working on your long-term strategy. Because the world is evolving. More people are coming to the digital market than ever before, and they're searching for products and services. And if you have one to bring to market, you have to understand the long-term strategy and then the short-term strategy of social media to get more eyeballs on that. So you looking at how do you blend both search marketing and social marketing long and short-term together in such a way that your business benefits from that growth.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. And I also thank you for this lovely presentation that we did today. We're going to have more because Evergreen content is about helping you to see the smart way of positioning yourself in the marketplace. All right.
Exactly. Thank you,
very
Katrina.
much.
Thank you,
Have a good one, everybody.
Yep.
In broadcast.